No, because it's Kobe. I don't believe Michael Jordan had any more respect for any other player than he had for Kobe Bryant. And he played against some of the all-time greats. He came up in the 80s with Bird and Magic, Olajuwon and some of the Barclays and all those guys, Skip. But I don't know, it's hard for me to believe that he had any more respect for those guys than he had for Kobe Bryant. And he said the reason why he was more mentally tough maybe than he was is because he had to deal with his fans, because everybody thought Kobe was trying to copy. He basically copied every single thing, the way he walked, the way he chewed his gum, he stuck his tongue out of his mouth, he put the little the armband on his elbow, he pulled the knee sleeve down to his calf. He did everything just like Kobe. He just had, just like Michael, he just had hair. So having to deal with that, and I think the thing is, Skip, in order to be a historically great player, transcendent player, you have to be able to compartmentalize, because there's a lot of times that you're dealing with things off the court or off the field or whatever your profession is that no one knows. Only you know. But you got to go out there in your said profession, put that aside for 2 hours, 3 hours, be that great that everybody know you are, and then deal with that at another time, in another place. And Kobe was able to do that. Michael was able to do that, Skip. And so the profound respect that Mike has for Kobe, Skip, is really the only time that he really shows emotion. He broke down when he was trying to, Skip, I remember when he was at Kobe's homegoing, and Mike broke down trying to talk about him. That was the first time that I believe people saw a human side of Michael, with the exception of The Last Dance. And you saw a little bit of that, but this was raw. This was not, give me a cut, okay, give me a minute. This was the outpouring of love, and I can't believe that I'm having to do this today. I'm not supposed to have to do that. And he says he still has the text exchange between his last text exchange between he and Kobe. So I'm not surprised that Mike said this, because we know the profound respect, the profound love, the adoration that Michael has for Kobe Bryant. So nothing that Mike said about Kobe is surprising to me. And Skip, I still have the last exchange that I had with Kobe Bryant when I was talking to him about congratulating him on the birth of his new daughter. So, Skip, I'm not surprised that Michael said these things about Kobe.
So, as I read Jackie McMullen's piece on ESPN.com yesterday, I got chills because I did have the good fortune to spend a lot of time around Michael Jordan in Chicago during that 98 Last Dance season. And I didn't know he had this in him. But he has it in him for one man and one man only, the late, great Kobe Bryant. And as he said at Kobe's memorial, this is what Kobe does to me, as he broke down and cried.
Right.
And then he added, even though he can be a pain in the ass. Well, he was a good pain in the ass for Jordan for all those years, because he just drove him crazy, texting, calling, asking questions. How do you do this? How did you do that? Why? To explain. Shooting angles, release points, just relentless obsession with trying to be like Mike, to beat Mike.
Yes.
And to me, the statement that Michael made about he was even mentally, maybe even mentally tougher than I was, in a way, it's Michael, he's giving himself a compliment. I don't want to overstate this, but he's basically saying he was mentally tougher because he was trying to outdo me, and it's virtually impossible, but he came close.
Right.
And Michael has two sons who became sort of marginal college basketball players at UCF. And you know how Michael is. You're either great or you're not. And not that he doesn't love his two sons, but Kobe became his son. It wasn't little brother. It was like a son. He tried to raise him in a basketball sense, and he kept it pretty quiet. Both of them kept it pretty quiet.
They did.
So it was off radar, and it only spilled out at the memorial service. And as you'll see this Saturday, when he introduces him, and they obviously put him in the Hall of Fame. But
Skip, before you
go ahead.
Skip, before you go, one other person can generate this kind of emotion out of Michael Jordan, his father. Man. When he talks about his father, that's the only other person that I've ever seen Michael open up, and you see all of a sudden, he's human.
Yep.
He's just not all nothing gets to me. I'm all basketball. He shows a human side. He shows that your man. And for his father and Kobe, Skip, he didn't always have the relationship with Kobe. Skip, you remember in the All-Star game? He called him the little Laker boy. He's like, hell, I went passing the ball. I think, hey, you want to shoot it? Go get the rebound yourself. But Kobe was so persistent. Skip, you know how it is it's like a child and his father. He tugged on his pants long enough. Will you buy me this, Mike? Will you buy me this? Will you buy me this?
Yep.
And pretty soon, Dad breaks down and said, okay, boy, go get it. After a while, Kobe just kept texting him and calling him. And after a while, Michael said, okay, damn. What, Kobe? What?
I agree. And yet, as Jordan said to Jackie McMullen, that he's talking about as he introduces Kobe into the Hall of Fame, that he's going to let his emotions go again. He's not going to guard anymore because it's real. And he said, that's the humanistic side of me, to your point. People tend to forget I do have one.
Right.
And remember, that was his biggest regret about the documentary, The Last Dance, is that you're seeing that practice, that archived practice footage no one had ever seen before. And he is coming across, you and I went back and forth for days about this, but he was coming across as cutthroat, cold-blooded, you-know-what, as he ridiculed his teammates, sometimes punched his teammates to motivate his teammates. And a lot of people said, God, what a bad guy. And I said, well, that's how he went 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs, because that's what he was made of, and it all worked. That was his way of motivating his teammates. Maybe it wouldn't work for anybody else, but it worked for him.
Right.
But I also think as he rises up in age towards 60 years of age, he starts to think, gee, am I coming across like a really bad guy? Well, maybe to a lot of people. So I think he is relishing the opportunity to, so to speak, let his hair down. Not that he has much to let down, but he's just going to let it fly. Just be real, 100%. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and you're going to get that on Saturday, and I appreciate that.
Skip, for the longest time, Michael Jordan was guarded.
Yeah.
Remember, he would not do an interview unless he was suited and booted. He was fully dressed, had the earring. So he always was going to be on his best behavior. And it was like, well, damn, does he go to bed in a suit? Because I never see him less than immaculate. So he was so guarded. He was so guarded because he thought that any sign of emotion was a sign of weakness, and he didn't want that. So now, Skip, he's away from the game. It's okay. I think the biggest thing that Michael had is that he never showed vulnerabilities. So now, Skip, showing this emotional side of him, he shows that he's vulnerable. He showed that I am human, and that things that I may have said or you don't think impacts me, they really did. They really does. And I feel what you're feeling right now for Kobe, magnify that times 25, because I knew him in a way you guys didn't. I had one-on-one conversations. And remember, Skip, it was about a thing of tequila that Michael Jordan had sent Kobe. Jordan's brand of tequila that he had sent him. And Kobe said, bro, this thing, you hit it out the park with this one. So he had a very unique relationship, and Mike was willing to let his guard down. Not for many people. Maybe for his family. Dad, for sure, we know because how his dad tragically passed.
Yep.
And Kobe. That's really the only time that we've seen Mike let his guard down.
I agree. So let me hit you with a quick anecdote that I've read in a new book that's coming out by the great Tim Grover, who trained both Jordan and Kobe.
Okay.
The new book, it's not, I'm reading an advanced copy, it's soon to be out, called Winning. But in it, Tim Grover points out that Kobe actually worked harder, trained harder than Michael ever did, but that Michael trained smarter than Kobe. Like, Michael just got it. Like, I need to do this much, but I don't need to go over there. But that Kobe was just relentless in his pursuit of trying to become Jordan. And to do it, he was going to work longer hours, stay in the gym later. Tim writes anecdotes about you'd have to meet Kobe at 3 o'clock in the morning at the gym to get shots up because he was possessed, not obsessed. He was possessed with becoming Jordan. So he's working harder. And I think that's also why Jordan watched this and said, well, he's even mentally tougher than I am because I don't need to be that mentally tough.
And the thing is, but here's the thing. Kobe is looking at it like, hold on. Michael, you trained Michael. And he said, knowing what Michael is, I know he did at least this.
Yeah.
Probably more. So that's why Kobe, so even though Tim was like, bro, you done enough, he's like, Michael would never say this is enough. So that was, see, Skip, when you got that target that's so far in the distance, even though the guy that trained the guy that helped put that target out there is saying one thing, you're like, nah, no. But as we get older, Jordan realized that more is not necessarily better. We don't have to train. We have to train smarter because our body can't withstand what it could as we got younger. But Kobe, because he skipped, Jordan wasn't chasing anything. Now everybody has the target. Jordan is the target for everybody moving forward. There was no target for Jordan to chase.
Agreed. He was it.
He's it. So now he's everybody else. So everybody else said, nah, because I know Jordan. Jordan went hard like this here. Jordan was up at 4. So that's why Kobe had to get up at 3, because he believed Jordan got up at 4. Well, I'm gonna get up an hour earlier. Well, Jordan shot 500 shots. Well, I'm getting at least 750. When Jordan got in the ice tub for an hour, man, I'm going on the board. I'm about to be David Blaine. I'm about to go in the hot water for 2 hours, Skip. That's how Kobe thinks. That's how competitive they are. And they believed that that was going to help them be the ultimate player that they became. And they were absolutely right.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.